The emergency klaxons wailed across the bridge of the UES Defiance as Admiral Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display showing humanity's greatest nightmare made manifest. 3,000 Devourer vessels stretched across the void like a plague of mechanical death, their bioorganic hulls pulsing with malevolent energy as they bore down on Earth. Admiral, incoming priority transmission from the Zilithian High Command, Communications Officer Hayes reported, his voice tight with barely contained fury. Chen's weathered hands gripped the command rail as the hologram shimmered to life. Chancellor Vextar, scaled features appeared, his serpentine eyes avoiding her gaze. Behind him, the gleaming spires of New Zelith stretched toward alien skies, cities that existed only because human blood had been spilled to save them. Admiral Chen Vextar began, his voice carrying the weight of a decision that would echo through history. The Zilithian Republic has deliberated extensively on this matter. We cannot commit our forces to this endeavor. The Devourer Fleet represents an existential threat that logic dictates. We cannot engage. Chun felt something cold settle in her chest. Chancellor, 3 years ago at Proxima 7, human Marines died holding the line while your people have... Lieutenant Morrison threw himself on a plasma grenade to save a Zilithian nursery. Does that mean nothing to you? Vextar's scaled hands trembled slightly. We are grateful for past sacrifices, Admiral, but the Devourers have consumed 17 star systems in 3 months. Our analysts project a 97% casualty rate in direct engagement. We must preserve our civilization for the future. What future? Chun's voice cracked like a whip. When they're done with Earth, where do you think they'll go next? The Chancellor's image flickered as he ended the transmission without another word. Around the bridge, Chun's officers sat in stunned silence, their faces reflecting the betrayal that cut deeper than any enemy weapon. Lieutenant Rodriguez was the first to break the silence. Ma'am, incoming communication from the Corvan Unity. The hologram reformed, showing General Karthok's massive frame. The Corvan warriors for arms hung heavy at his sides, his mandibles clicking in what Chun had learned was deep distress. Behind him, she could see other Corvan officers, beings she had fought beside, bled with, shared victory drinks with, under alien stars. Sarah, Karthok rumbled, using her first name as he had since the Battle of Rigel. The Unity Council has spoken. We cannot commit to this fight. Chun felt her heart break a little more. Karthok, we swore blood. Your own son called me Sister Warrior after I pulled him from that burning dropship on Kepler Station. The massive alien's voice cracked. And you are my sister in all but blood. But the Council fears extinction. They have ordered all Unity forces to withdraw to the Outer Rim. I argued for 3 days straight. I am to be stripped of rank for even speaking with you now. The transmission ended abruptly. Chun closed her eyes, feeling the weight of command and betrayal pressing down on her shoulders. When she opened them again, she saw her bridge crew, watching her with a mixture of anger and desperate hope. Status report, she commanded, falling back on military protocol to keep her voice steady. Commander Park stepped forward from the tactical station. Admiral, we have confirmation of Athenian collective withdrawal. Their quantum fold ships simply ... vanished. No communication, no warning. The Rigelian Trade Federation has declared neutrality and pulled back their defensive fleet. The Centauri Republic is reassessing strategic priorities. Chun nodded slowly, each name feeling like another nail in humanity's coffin. Our own forces, 147 ships operational, Park replied. The UES Valiant, Retribution, Phoenix, Indomitable, and the rest of the Third Fleet, approximately 42,000 crew members total. Dr. Elizabeth Vasquez, the fleet's xenobiologist and Chun's oldest friend, moved to her side. Sarah, maybe we should consider evacuation protocols. Get as many people off Earth as possible before... Before what? Chun's voice carried across the bridge like thunder. Before we abandon 8 billion people to those monsters. Before we let them turn Earth into another feeding ground. She turned to face the main view screen, which displayed long-range sensor data of the approaching Devourer Fleet. Each ship was a nightmare of biomechanical fusion organic hulls that seemed to breathe, weapon ports that opened like hungry mouths, and sensor arrays that twitched like the compound eyes of massive insects. These creatures had devoured entire civilizations, leaving nothing but dead worlds stripped of all life. Ma'am Hayes spoke up hesitantly. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's President Martinez. The screen flickered, showing the familiar face of Earth's leader. President Martinez sat in the Global Defense Headquarters, the lights of Geneva twinkling through the windows behind him. His face was drawn with exhaustion, but his eyes still held the fire that had led humanity through the Titan crisis. "Admiral Chen," Martinez began, "what's our status? Please tell me you have good news about our allies." Chen straightened her uniform, forcing steel into her voice even as her heart shattered. "Mr. President, we have 147 ships operational and ready for combat. As for our allies," she paused, the words feeling like acid in her throat, "they have withdrawn their support, all of them." The silence that followed stretched for an eternity. Martinez aged a decade in those few seconds, the weight of humanity's isolation settling on his shoulders. Behind him, Chen could see his advisors, some weeping, others staring in shock at the magnitude of their abandonment. "All of them," Martinez whispered, even the Corvins, "all of them, sir. We stand alone." Martinez closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, Chen saw something unexpected, not despair, but a terrible, beautiful resolve. "Then we fight alone," he said quietly. "Admiral, you have full authorization to engage the enemy with whatever means necessary. Project Prometheus is unlocked. All experimental weapons are cleared for immediate deployment. Protect Earth as long as you can." "Sir," Chen replied, her voice steady despite the storm in her heart. "We'll make them pay for every inch." The transmission ended. Chen turned to face her bridge, crew humans from every nation on Earth, united now in the face of extinction. She saw fear in their eyes, yes, but also determination. The same fire that had carried humanity from the caves to the stars still burned bright. "You heard the President," she announced, her voice carrying to every station. "Signal all ships. We're taking the fight to them." The communications board lit up as responses poured in from across the fleet. Commander Singh from the UES Retribution was first. "Admiral, my crew is ready. We've been preparing for this moment our whole careers." Captain Morrison of the UES Phoenix followed. "Ma'am, we've got fusion torpedoes loaded, and our experimental plasma lance is fully charged. If we're going out, we're taking as many of those bastards with us as possible." Similar acknowledgments came from every ship in the fleet. The U's Valiant, humanity's newest dreadnought with its revolutionary shield matrix. The U's Indomitable, whose crew had never lost a battle in 20 years of service. The U's Freedom, rebuilt from the wreckage of the Mars colony defense. Each ship represented humanity's finest volunteers who had sworn to protect Earth, no matter the cost. Chen moved to the tactical station, studying the approaching enemy formation. The Devourers moved in perfect biological synchronization, their ships undulating through space like a school of predatory fish. At their center lurked the massive command organisms, ships the size of small moons, their hulls crawling with weapon symbiotes and sensor parasites. "Helm, set course for the Devourer Advance Fleet," Chen ordered. "Maximum velocity." "Ma'am," Tactical Officer Park spoke up, his voice carefully controlled. "The tactical computer calculates our survival probability at approximately 0%. Recommend alternative strategies." Chen turned to face him, and Park saw something in her eyes that made him straighten unconsciously. "Lieutenant Park, what does the tactical computer calculate as Earth's survival probability if we run?" Park's face went pale. "Also 0%, ma'am." "Then we choose how we die," Chen replied, "and humans have never been good at choosing the easy way." The human fleet surged forward, their fusion drives carving brilliant lines across the darkness of space. Behind them, in the distance, Chen could see the running lights of their former allies. As they fled toward the outer systems, the sight filled her with a fury so pure it was almost cleansing. As they approached the enemy, Chen activated fleet-wide communications. 3,000 Devourer ships filled their screens, an armada of living nightmares that had consumed worlds, each one hungry for the feast that was Earth. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen," she began, her voice carried to every human vessel in the fleet. "In approximately 30 minutes, we will engage an enemy force 20 times our size. Our allies have abandoned us. The galaxy has written us off as already dead. They expect us to run. They expect us to break. They have never fought humans before." She paused, watching the tactical display as her ships formed into attack formation, a formation her grandfather had used at the Battle of Titan, adapted now for three-dimensional space warfare. "Today, we show the universe what it means to be human. We don't fight because we can win, we fight because it's right. We don't fight for glory or conquest, we fight for home." for family, for the right of children to grow up under an unblocked sun. When the universe asks how Earth fell, let them say, "We took as many of those bastards with us as we could." A cheer went up across the comm channels. 42,000 voices raised in defiant unity. Chen felt a surge of pride so powerful it nearly brought tears to her eyes. The Devourer Fleet had detected them now. The massive bioships began to turn, weapon ports dilating like hungry mouths, bioelectric discharges crackling along their hulls as they prepared to feed. Energy readings spiked off the charts as the alien vessels charged their organic weapon systems. All ships, attack pattern, Delta 7, Chen ordered. Target their command organisms first. If we can disrupt their coordination, we might. The first wave of Devourer fire lit up space like a deadly aurora, streams of bioplasma. Acid missiles that tracked their targets with predatory intelligence, and energy beams that seemed to reach out like grasping tentacles. But the humans were already gone, using their superior speed and maneuverability to dance between the massive enemy vessels. The US Valiant opened fire first, its particle beam cannons carving deep wounds into a Devourer command ship. The alien vessel screamed as screwed across multiple electromagnetic frequencies as its biomechanical hull was severed. Dark fluids leaked into space as the creature ship writhed in agony. Other human ships followed suit, their weapons finding gaps in the enemy's organic armor. The UES Phoenix's experimental plasma lance punched clean through a biocruiser, while the UES Freedom's quantum torpedoes caused a chain reaction that destroyed 3 smaller vessels. But for every Devourer ship they damaged, 10 more converged on their position. The U Sparta took a direct hit from a bioacid stream and dissolved into component atoms. Its crew of 800 vaporized in seconds. The UES Yorktown lost its entire port wing to a living missile that burrowed into its hull before exploding. Admiral Rodriguez called out urgently. Long-range sensors are picking up massive gravimetric distortions. Multiple fleets, moving fast, toward our position from multiple vectors. Chen's heart sank. Devourer reinforcements. It was over before it had truly begun. How many? I can't tell, ma'am. The sensor readings are confused. It's like the ships are using completely different drive systems. The signatures don't match Devourer technology. On the tactical display, Chen watched her fleet being slowly ground down by the alien onslaught. They'd destroyed perhaps 50 enemy vessels, a respectable showing for any fleet, but they were losing ships faster than they could replace them. Half her fleet was gone already, their brave crews joining the ranks of heroes who had died defending humanity. Then space itself seemed to tear open. New contacts appeared on the edge of the system's sleek Silithian cruisers, their silver hulls gleaming like promises in the starlight. Behind them came the massive wardrooms of the Corvon Unity, their ships shaped like ancient battlehammers. Even the ethereal vessels of the Athenian collective materialized from quantum fold space, their crystalline hulls singing with harmonic energy. Admiral Chen came Chancellor Vextar Spois over the communications array. But it was different, now stronger, filled with shame and desperate determination. The Zilithian Republic requests permission to engage the enemy alongside your forces. Chen stared at the tactical display in shock as thousands of allied vessels poured into the system. Chancellor, I thought, you said the risk was too great. We were wrong, Vextar replied, his voice heavy with regret. We let fear cloud our judgment. We forgot that some things are worth dying for. Watching your fleet charge alone into certain death, it reminded us what courage looks like, what honor truly means. General Karthok's gravelly voice joined the channel, and Chun could hear the sound of weapons charging in the background. Human Admiral, the Corvan Unity brings 500 ships to this fight. I have been stripped of rank for defying the Council, but my warriors chose to follow me anyway. We have failed you once, we will not fail you again. The Athenian collective's representative spoke through quantum harmonics, their voice like wind chimes in a storm. Our calculations were wrong. We computed for mere survival, not for righteousness. Humanity has shown us the error in our equations. Some variables cannot be. These are the forces that truly shape the universe. Chen felt tears streaming down her face as she watched the Allied fleet crash into the Devourer Armada like a tsunami of righteous fury. Every race that had abandoned them was returning, bringing everything they had. Ships that had been fleeing toward safety had turned around and raced back, their crews willing to die for the principle that humanity had demonstrated. Chun whispered, her voice breaking. Why come back now? Because, Vexstar said simply, when someone is willing to fight alone for what they believe in, they're never truly alone. You reminded us who we used to be, before fear made us small. The combined fleet human, Zilithian, and a dozen other species engaged the Devourer Armada in a battle that would be remembered for millennia. The humans, no longer fighting merely to delay the inevitable, fought with renewed vigor. Their desperate tactics, proven in the bloody first engagement, were now supported by allied firepower and coordination. The tide began to turn, slowly at first, then with gathering momentum like an avalanche. Devourer ships, caught between the hammer of human determination and the anvil of allied firepower, began to fall back. Their bioships, designed to overwhelm through numbers and terror, found themselves outmaneuvered by the combined fleet's coordinated assault. "Admiral," Dr. Vasquez said, her voice filled with wonder as she watched the tactical display, "we're actually winning." Chen nodded, but her eyes were fixed on the blue marble of Earth spinning peacefully in the distance. Still safe, still free, its cities still shining like jewels in the darkness. "No," she said quietly, her voice filled with profound understanding. "We already won. The moment we refused to run, the moment we chose to fight for what's right, regardless of the odds, we won." As the last Devourer ships fled into the dark between the stars, their bioholes damaged and their hunger temporarily sated by defeat, Admiral Chen opened a channel to Earth. President Martinez appeared on screen, older but smiling for the first time in months. "Admiral," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "status report. How did we do it?" Chen looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew, then at the display showing the thousands of allied ships that had returned when hope seemed lost. Warriors from a dozen different worlds, united by humanity's example. "We fought alone, Mr. President," she replied, "and discovered we never really were." In the months that followed, the story of the Battle of Terror would spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Not just the military victory, but the moment when humanity's willingness to stand alone had inspired an entire galactic alliance to remember what they were fighting for. The moment when 42,000 humans had chosen death over dishonor, and in doing so, had saved not just Earth, but the very soul of galactic civilization. The Devourers would return, they always did, but they would never again face a divided galaxy. Humanity had shown that sometimes, the greatest strength comes not from numbers or technology, but from the courage to do what's right, even when you stand alone against the darkness. And in the annals of galactic history, carved in quantum crystal, and sung in the harmonics of a dozen worlds, one phrase would be remembered above all others: Admiral Sarah Chen's words, as her battered fleet turned to face impossible odds. "Then we fight alone." But as the universe learned that day, those who are truly willing to fight alone never have to.